All right, we are live with another weekly show of the Late Late Rejects, uh, Wednesday night show here. So I'm here with Cody, my co-host, and
Hello there.
hello, yes, in your best Sean
That's
Connery,
Cody Connery to you.
Cody Connery to us, and with my lovely wife, my other co-host here, by my side. Um, she is joining us
My name will come
tonight,
to you any moment now.
Lindsay. Well, okay. Look, guys, look.
I was
It's
listening
11
to the nice
o'clock.
compliments, so I thought he's going to get to my name.
It's
in a
11
minute.
o'clock. It's been a doozy of a day, and I'm partaking in a beverage, as I always like to do. It loosens me up for the show. So, yes, it may take me a minute to recall names, but I'm here. Okay, I'm here, folks. I'm here for your entertainment, for our tens of listeners that might pick up on this, or to the distant alien who is picking this up. Stick with us. I promise you, it'll catch on by episode 80.
What is
Maybe.
it?
Yeah.
What is it he says? He's like episode 47. It really finds its voice.
Yeah, really finds his voice by episode 47. Oh man. But anyway, we're here tonight to talk about James Bond. We decided after the Matrix we had to do James Bond because No Time to Die came out later last year, and
It was very heartbreaking.
wow, yeah, we'll get to that eventually, but it was very enjoyable.
Yeah,
It's
wait
still,
for that episode before you give spoilers for it.
yeah, we will not spoil
Heartbreaking is
anything,
not a spoiler.
but man, it was such a great movie. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, Cody had the idea of switching these up and going by director, which I honestly I would have never thought of doing. I'm the type that's like, okay, we'll start from number one and go all the way through. And if you want to be very picky and technical about it, we probably should have watched the is it Peter Sellers in the casino, the original Casino Royale?
Well, there's a spoof which was made around, I think, 67 called
Yeah,
Casino Royale, which has Peter Sellers, David Niven,
right.
Ursula Anders is actually in it, Orson Welles, Woody Allen. It was a spoof, which is one of the influences for Austin Powers, but there was also a TV movie made in the 50s. It was an Americanized version of Casino Royale, and he was called Jimmy
Wow.
Bond.
Jimmy
Wow.
Bond. Oh,
Good old
dear.
American Jimmy Bond. Classic.
James is too posh.
And then,
Remember, folks, Jimmy Bond likes Coca-Cola and
and
Marlboro cigarettes.
there was some sort of licensing or distribution rights or adaptation rights that caused the Eon production, the people who've been making these Bond movies for now 60 years, to not have the film rights to make that one, and that's why it didn't get made until Daniel Craig.
Wow. So, not only that, but here's a question. Are we going to throw in the Sean Connery that was basically a remake of Thunderball?
Never say never again. Do you want to
Never
know
say
why?
never again.
Do you want to know the
Now,
context of why that movie exists or doesn't
well,
exist?
I know, like, I know amongst fans it's controversial. They're like, some people don't count it, some people do. I've always thrown it in with my Bond collection, even though I guess technically it's not. It is, but it's not. But anyway, go ahead, Cody. I'll let you explain it. You're probably a lot better at that than I am. So.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, James Bond is based off a series of books that were written by a man named Ian Fleming, who basically created his male fantasy through this character.
Mm-hmm.
in a post-World War II world of British spy, travels the world, saves the world, sleeps with a bunch of women, likes to drink a lot of alcohol. Anyways, before they got the rights to make these into films, Ian Fleming got together with a group of individuals and tried to come up with a script to turn James Bond into a movie. And there was a guy that was working on that with him. I believe his name is Kevin McClory. I could have the man's name wrong. Anyways, they created a script that is very similar to what the novel Thunderball would become. And so he sued Ian Fleming and he got the rights to that story because he said the original script they developed was very similar, pretty much the same thing that Fleming's novel became. So when they decided to make Thunderball into a movie, he had to be signed on as a producer and get story credit. And then he had the rights to remake this movie as many times as he wanted. And Sean Connery, of course, quit James Bond because one, he did not get along with Cubby Broccoli, one of the guys who started Eon and produced the Bond films up until his death, and now his daughter Barbara and stepson Michael Wilson are in charge of the franchise. And he also was afraid of being typecast and just didn't like the weight and toll of being James Bond. Like when they filmed You Only Live Twice, like people were following him to the bathroom and stuff, and like when he
that
came back to
explains
do
Zardoz so much.
when he came back to do Diamonds Are Forever, he basically was like, what, they had to pay him like at that time $5 million just to do it.
Whoa.
So he never wanted to do James Bond again, but for whatever reason, he decided to do this movie. I don't know if it was an FU to the Broccoli or what. But yeah, it's basically Thunderball. And what's sad is at 53, Sean Connery looks better and more interested in the role than when we watch Diamonds Are Forever, his last Bond film, and he's only 41, and he looks way older in Diamonds Are Forever.
Right. Yeah.
But if you wanted to do Never Say Never Again, I suggest an interesting double feature just because there's a fan theory, and it's nothing but a fan theory. There is nothing to concise that this is correct or canon or anything.
Is it Michael Bay involvement?
Yes, I would say if you wanted to do Never Say Never Again, we should double feature it with The Rock because a lot of people
do that. Because
a lot of people like to say, "Oh, well, that's just Sean Connery's James Bond."
You know what? I'm one of those suckers that likes The Rock because it's so cheesy, and it's just.
Are there people that hate The Rock? I thought it was undisputedly claimed Michael Bay's best movie.
I don't know, man. Con Air is pretty good.
He didn't direct that.
Or not Con Air. Wow.
Not Con Air.
Put the bunny down.
Yeah. Yeah. Con Air is a good movie, by the way.
It is.
It is also full of cheese.
I would say it's more cheesy than The Rock.
Yeah, it is. But I enjoy The Rock, which I know it's cliche, but I actually got to go out to Alcatraz and take the tour for the day. And when we got to that spot, the tour guide just knew I was waiting for that iconic spot where Nicolas Cage like kneels down and they actually have that blocked off. And I kept asking him. I asked him first thing. I was like, dude, you know what I'm wanting? And he goes, let me guess. You want to know where the spot is? And Nicolas Cage holds the flares up, right? And he goes, that's where every film nerd that comes here, that's the first place they want to go straight to is either that or like spots where they were filming Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood or something like that. So I kind of let them know first off that I was like, these are the spots that I want to go see, because you could either go with a tour guide or put these headphones on and kind of wander around by yourself, which was really cool. But yeah, I've done that. I've knelt down in that spot, waiting for the flames to take me. Yeah, before I stab myself in the heart. But yeah, iconic. Anyway,
very Nick Cage of you.
Very Nick Cage. Yeah. Who, what, where? I can't do it. Anyway, back to James Bond. Where were we?
We were talking about a double feature with Never Say Never
yes.
Again and The Rock, which is not directed by Michael Bay. I can't believe you made me.
Oh my goodness.
The Rock is directed by Michael Bay.
Movies.
Oh, it is directed by Michael Bay.
Con Air is not directed by Michael Bay.
Yeah, Con Air. I get them mixed up all the time because Con Air seems like very much like a Michael Bay movie. Yeah, I compare it to a Michael Bay movie anyway. But anyway, that seems like a good pair up to me. I think we should do it.
When?
And we should talk about that. We'll fit it in there as kind of a break, like maybe
break from all the James Bond.
Yeah. It'll be different for sure.
A palate cleanser.
Yeah, a palate cleanser with a Rock movie. But yeah, that sounds good to me. That sounds like a fun double feature, and we'll get into that. We'll dive deep into that.
Much like Sean Connery does in Thunderball, everybody.
Yeah. Well,
Water James Bond movie.
Hey, that was a beautiful movie, though, and
it was gorgeous.
That's around the time
Dr.
So was
very underwater.
Was really
I bet
big.
you it's James Cameron's favorite Bond movie.
I bet you're right.
Right. That's a gorgeous movie. Though. I love the underwater fight scenes and that.
I didn't know we were gonna get into Thunderball first, but that's fine.
Well, no, we won't. I mean, we can go. We can go in order.
I'm just trying to keep it all relevant.
Yeah. But Dr. No. Okay, the first James Bond, excellent stuff. I mean, personally, like, Goldfinger was probably one of my favorites growing up. But the more I watch Dr. No, the more I'm like, man, I get it now. It's always been good, but rewatching it and just really paying attention to it, I don't know. It popped differently. Like it was really good.
All the fast and loose half science running around in Dr.
Yeah. Everything's atomic. It was during the the scare and everything. So
yeah, watching these three, these are pretty close together. They're all Sean Connery era Bond films. I was suspecting this was going to be my least favorite one of the three, but it actually wasn't. It's not my favorite, but here's some things it does really well. One, it turns Sean Connery into a movie star, proves he's perfect for the role, even though Ian Fleming and other people were like, you cast a Scottish guy as James Bond? He's not British. Why is he playing Bond? And apparently Fleming was so impressed with Connery's performance before Fleming died that he changed Bond's home to Scotland.
Wow. Okay.
Good on you, Sean Connery.
But the funny story about how Connery got cast, because they were looking at people like Cary Grant and David Niven. Even Roger Moore was approached, but he was tied up with the Saint at the time. And that's going to be a famous trend with actors who played Bond, that they were like approached earlier to play Bond before they got to play him. But apparently Albert Broccoli's wife watched Darby O'Day and the Little People. It was just so smitten with this man in the movie.
Wow. Yep.
Wow.
Some dude's wife's like crushing hard on Sean Connery, and then he's got to be the one to hire him. I wonder what that was like. Like, hey, my wife thinks you're the bee's knees and thinks you should be Sean Connery. We loved you in Darby O'Gill.
I'm Sean Connery.
Yeah.
But I like how this is kind of
Alex
is kind of a minimalist movie. Like, there's no gadgets. There's no like.
Yeah.
It's more of a detective story almost until we finally get to Dr. No's lair, which, well, the production design on that is really well done. Like, I guess that sets the standard for the Bond villain lair, but yeah, this is a really solid movie. And also, for you guys talking about these movies being time capsule, of the correct, I may be wrong. There's probably several instances, but I feel like Connery's the least rapey and sexual assaulty in this one.
And he actually like just starts slapping ladies around. Isn't that sad?
He punches that lady like, you're not a woman. Pop.
No, not even that lady. There's one lady he's like, you need to get it together, and he like just backhands her real good, just like, come on, get your head in the game. We're both
sadly there's a famous interview with him and Barbara Walters where he actually says a woman needs a good smacking every now and then.
That's which is probably ever smacked Sean Connery.
But Roger Moore, on the other hand, had to divorce one of his wives because she was physically assaulting him.
Wow, I did not know that. Wow. See, I mean, it goes both ways.
It sounds like he should have called Sean Connery.
It goes both ways. It's more prominent.
Should have been like, come on, man, back me up. I can't take this.
Sean,
I'll tag you in.
Be a man, Roger.
No.
You're carrying the James Bond name.
You make him sound like Patches O'Houlihan
yeah.
instead of James Bond. Teaching people dodgeball instead of how to be James Bond. No, that's what I love about Dr. No is like you talk about it being like a very minimalist. It's like a very sharp and clean aesthetic. And the reason that is because they did not have as much money as they get for subsequent Bond films. So it's like you really have to.
I think they get more elaborate as you go on with the villain layers and the gadgets and the sets and the
henchmen who can't hear doors slamming open and close.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are going to see a trend as we watch these movies. As each film succeeds, they try to up the ante with each film until it's like a disaster. And then they're like, okay, we got to get back to ground zero. Yeah. We got to get back to the basics. Just do a Fleming-esque espionage story. And then they're like, oh, you guys want more of this? Okay, we'll try this again. And then, nope, too much. Okay, we'll go back.
Like going Star Wars with Moonraker, which is great. It's one of my favorites, but you could tell where they were trying to play it with the times.
Yeah, so that's what's interesting here. And I don't know if the Bond franchise ever reclaimed this because this 60s era kind of gave birth to the modern action movie. And as problematic as things are in these movies, especially treatment towards women, I do love this 1960s setting with the Cold War and stuff with the character and everything. Like that aesthetic really works with the character and the stories.
Yeah, it does. And they carry that over again with From Russia with Love.
Okay, well,
I know we're gonna wait to get into that, but you brought up with the whole the Cold War aesthetic and playing that up and using atom bombs and radiation and stuff as the science behind this stuff is very much early 60s. That was the scare at the time.
I was just gonna say before we got into it, I just wanted to clear up what else you guys wanted to talk about Dr. No, because From Russia with Love is my favorite of these three, and it's easily a top 5, if not top 3 Bond film for me.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Dr. No. Man, classic bikini shot.
Well, yeah, they've been trying to mimic that shot in other Bond films.
Yeah, they even mimicked it with with what's his name himself.
Daniel Craig. Yeah,
they mimicked it with Daniel Craig in
that is
Casino
the
Royale.
shot that finally got the internet to shut up about him being cast as James Bond.
Yeah.
Oh, was the internet not happy when Daniel Craig was?
Dude,
no, he was
the internet
blonde.
is never happy. What a silly question.
Okay,
you
know what?
Ask that.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I was skeptic. Okay, but when the opening of that movie, when it came on, and right after he fought the guy in the bathroom, right? I was like, oh, okay, all right. Let's see. It's early on. Then the whole parkour scene where he's chasing that guy. That I was like, okay, no, that's it. He's James Bond. That sold it right there. That sold it for me right there. And of course the rest of the movie. So Daniel Craig, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now, out of all the James Bonds, I have seen these over and over again. I'm getting to revisit them now. But I have a lot of favorite James Bonds, but Daniel Craig is probably my absolute favorite in the entire franchise.
I'm gonna concur with you, and I actually really like Timothy Dalton too. I think those are my top 2 Bonds.
Yeah, I love Timothy Dalton.
Well,
those
has
two
the
movies.
Benefit of learning from all the mistakes of previous Bonds, though.
Well,
I think the writers and everybody had the benefit of learning from.
I think not just that. I think Daniel Craig is also the first actor to try and progress not just the character but the franchise. And maybe we should do it this way instead of that way. And we'll get to those when we get to them, but he's done a lot for the character and the franchise and made James Bond a human being and not just a portrayal of ultimate male fantasy.
Right. Yeah, we'll get into that, and I'm sorry I brought that up, but I had to go ahead and state that right now that he is by far my favorite out of the franchise.
But I think the reason Connery is so beloved, first of all, he's the first one. So, to my parents, that's James Bond. Nobody else is as good as him. Everyone else is second, third, fourth, whatever. I think the other thing that people like and what I like about him is he's kind of a combination of all the traits other Bonds have. So he is suave. He can handle the physical action that the character does. And he's also good at the one-liners. Not most of the other Bonds cannot do all 3. They could do one or the other. Maybe 2, but not all 3.
I think that is probably my biggest issue with other Bonds is that you set the bar at Sean Connery, and then everybody else has to do their best interpretation of what makes him a good Bond. And sometimes they focus on the posher parts of James Bond, and sometimes they focus more on the gadgets or the one-liners.
Roger Moore always
the womanizing. It's never. Nobody really balances it all that well until you get to Daniel Craig, who does add many more layers and depth to his character.
Yeah, and Roger Moore always seemed like that to me. Like he was always the more posh and the more one-liner instead of the action.
James Bond.
Yeah, the very
very witty.
But anyway. Sorry, I know it's hard not to get into these other James Bonds.
I'm trying not to gush about Sean Connery as James Bond because, like you said, he does think certain things that I don't agree with. But
what did you guys think of Jack Lord as Felix Leiter, who apparently couldn't come back because they didn't want a bigger name actor than the guy playing James Bond because he was on Hawaii 5-0.
Hawaii 5-0. Yeah.
I was just noticing he was like a super white Felix Leiter. Like the whitest man in all of these movies. And that is including what's that man's name, Christopher? He's in Jaws.
Oh,
I'm gonna call him Quint.
Shaw, Robert.
Yes.
Who is
Robert Shaw.
so good in From Russia with Love.
Yeah,
He is that, and that I can't believe I've watched this movie before and not recognized him. But that platinum bleach blonde hair really throws you off.
yeah, he's got that. He has a very Nazi youth look.
He's a great Bond villain, though. He seems like a physical and mental match for the most part to James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
So do you guys consider him a full villain, or is he just a henchman?
He's a villain in his own right. I think he's as much a villain as James Bond is running the 007 program. Like, he's just really good at it.
He seemed like the 007 of
his own
of
cause.
Spectre, like
of his own cause.
Yeah, he was the best of the best of Spectre, and 007 is supposed to be the best out of the 00s. So he seemed like, the Agent Smith to Neo, kind of like. He was very proficient.
That's what he was trained and recruited for. They wanted someone to be able to kill James Bond.
And you know what? He honestly would have had him, but it was
so well.
Okay, I'll put this out there right now. James Bond, there's a lot of luck that just happens
when you're a kind of person.
There are times when he should have bitten the bullet and he didn't, because all of a sudden, the girl behind him stabs or shoots the guy that's about to kill him, or I don't know. There's just a lot of things. He gets out of a lot of situations by luck, it seems. And
or by
this guy,
near invisible support network around him.
Robert Shaw almost had him. Like he died by Bond's sheer luck. Almost, it seemed. So he was a worthy opponent. If he beats the shit out of the hero of the story, and the hero of the story almost doesn't make it, and just out of luck he kills the bad guy, then that bad guy was worthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's definitely. Actually, I love all the bad guys in From Russia with Love. I think all three of these characters are really good villains. Yeah. And it's a nice collection, and we get to meet Blofeld. We don't meet him face to face. Actually, I think he's more intimidating here, is just like the mysterious figure with the cat in the earlier Bond movies before we get to see him.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I want $1 million.
Yeah, if you want to play Austin Powers bingo,
$1 million
go back and
is
watch
not really that much money in today's standards.
Oh yeah.
I want $100 million.
Well, the female character, the Russian colonel or whatever her name is, number 3, that's who that one lady in Austin Powers is based off of.
Yeah, that's what I
mean.
It's
Frau Bar Mitzvah.
Yeah.
I think to really appreciate the Austin Powers films, you should be well versed in the James Bond.
You know what? As raunchy as those could be, what redeemed Austin Powers for me is where Vanessa's drunk and she's wanting to get with him, and he's like, "No, we'll stop right here. It's not right. You're drunk. I'm gonna get up and go watch TV. You should pass out right here."
That felt like a very
and I was like, wow,
moment.
for a 90s, movie with all the other raunchy stuff going on around it, that was pretty good. That was pretty big for Austin Powers to do that. But I feel like they did that on
purpose because James Bond was such a womanizer. There's not a lot of consent happening between backhands and romances.
So good. That's good. That's a one-up, pun intended, for Austin Powers. Yeah, in that regards, anyway.
But yeah, I love this opening. I love the score to this movie. I think it has one of the best sidekicks a Bond movie can ever have, and it was sadly that actor's last movie, but I love him as a character.
Oh, wow.
He's so great. The guy who runs the Turkish Secret Service, who apparently is getting more action than James Bond in the movie.
I know, right? That was a good. He was. I did like his character, which I can't remember his name, but we'll call him Turkish dude. But
I think it's Karaman Bey or something.
I like the fact that he goes underneath his office. They paddle through a canal, and they're up underneath the Russian consulate, and they have what I want to know is where this thing is positioned, where they're using a submarine telescope to spy on them. But where's the eye of this? Where is it? So the Russians aren't like, what the fuck is that? Or excuse me, sorry. What the heck is that?
What the gosh darn is that?
Yeah. What the beep? It's I can't edit that, folks. I'm sorry.
But yeah, and this movie definitely wears its Hitchcock influence on its sleeve, because there's a couple of sequences in this film that are very heavily homaging North by Northwest, which is one of the films that inspired the Bond franchise.
Yes. The helicopter sequence. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing that popped into my mind when I rewatched this time, was like, wow, that's very similar, to that film.
So, big problematic scene for me, I guess, in this movie is the gypsy scene, and especially after they stop whoever's there infiltrating, and the guy's like, well, you saved my life, so here's these two women that get to stay in your cabin tonight, and you got to settle this argument.
Well, he was like, it's your choice, and he's like, oh, well, this might take some time, and I'm like, oh.
Just the giving of women in general as property is definitely...
Yeah.
I do love...
And the whole gypsy,
that, yeah, as offensive as that entire setup is, it looks like they were like, we got to get out of here by Thursday because they're going to shoot a Western right here on this set. So let's not try to burn down any of these wagons. We just need you to punch each other, roll over some campfires, and then we really got to get it going.
Bananas coming in here Thursday morning, guys. Let's do this and we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't tear up the wagons. We need those.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, what was I talking about? We watched that scene where those women fight. And I said something. I'm sure it wasn't anything profound, but it's like you can tell this was definitely choreographed by a man.
Oh yeah, the way they're fighting. Man.
They're only pulling each other's hair and grabbing each other's clothes. It's very non-fighting fights.
This is some guy that secretly wanted to direct dirty pictures, and he was like, "I'm gonna make this as dirty as I can."
It was like somebody at the studio was like, "There's no reason they should be fighting in a mud pit," and he's like, "Damn it! What about Jell-O? It's cheaper."
Yeah, come on, let me add Jell-O.
I don't care for that part of the scene, but I do like that. Oh no, I have to find it. The character with many sons. We were just talking about him. Now I have to find that actor's name.
It's Pedro, I forget his last name, but yeah, this was his last film.
Wow,
that's terrible.
Good. I mean, he was really good in this, though. I really enjoyed his character.
I will say, I don't think any of these female love interests in these three films are particularly strong, but I guess at least in this one, she's at least central to the plot. She's at least needed to be in the movie.
Right.
Yeah, she at least gets a fake wedding ring. Good for her. Out of James Bond.
Speaking of wedding ring, I can't wait to get to On Her Majesty's Secret Service. That one's always been a favorite.
So good. It's so good.
I don't think I watched that one.
It's primo. We watched the documentary behind it. Remember
We probably did.
George Lazenby and
This mind is
it's been a while.
But yeah, other than some of the things that have not aged well in this movie, I think this is a top-notch espionage Cold War era film. And do you guys know the reason why this was the second Bond movie?
Why?
Because John F. Kennedy loved the book. And they're like, well, if the president loves this, we got to make it into a movie.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I bet you he watched that.
Oh, my goodness.
I bet you he...
Well, I don't know if
bringing
this
it
was
up.
released before he was killed, because this movie comes out in 1963.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine them making a whole James Bond movie for you and you don't get to see it.
Yeah, like, damn it.
But I mean, if anyone's close to being a real James Bond, it's got to be JFK, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend I don't know which part of being James Bond JFK was good at.
Oh, hey, remember
Well,
that?
he was also a war hero. I mean...
Is that really what anybody remembers?
Remember that in The Rock, where he was like, at the end, he's like, honey, I know what killed JFK. Oh, man.
It's just a cut of Oliver Stone's director's cut.
Oh, man. I haven't seen that in years. And I think Oliver Stone is one of those that believes, like he pushes, like, the JFK theories and stuff about there being a cover-up, which, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. There's lots of things out there, but who knows? But he goes X-Files about it.
Mm-hmm. What else do you guys like about From Russia with Love? Did we forget stuff about Dr. No? We want to talk about Thunderball now?
I think I love how much the female love interest in From Russia with Love looks like Cinderella from the 1950 Cinderella animated Disney movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess they kind of got a similar look going.
There's like a very pointed moment where Sean Bond, he buys her lingerie for their pretend honeymoon, and he's like, look, and a black ribbon to wear around your neck. And that was totally Cinderella's look. That big blonde hair, the pale blue outfit, and the black ribbon. That's definitely just something I appreciated, because I've always loved that animated movie.
James Bond has a thing for Disney princesses.
You know what? If you are on the internet long enough, you'll find out a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Like specific Disney princesses.
And some of it can be disturbing, okay?
It is disturbing. But that reminds me of another thing I love about From Russia with Love, when when Robert Shaw reveals himself to be, the killer or the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
And Bond's like, I should have known red wine with fish.
Yes. Yes, but he says something back. He's like, so all the right wines with the right food, but who's holding the gun or something?
Yeah.
That was a great moment.
Yeah, pretty good quip between.
Robert Shaw is pretty strapping in this movie. Just saying. Sean Connery gets a lot of the love for like being a really sexy James Bond, but
I mean, he's cut in this movie.
Yeah, he is like a fighter. Like, he looks like he's gonna be in a boxing match at any moment. But maybe that's all the like tight dark clothing you have to wear when you're a bad guy.
Yeah.
But speaking of Austin Powers, did you guys notice the training sequence scene with the Spectre people? They ripped that off in Wayne's World.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. It looks like a carnival of like what you think bad guys would do to train themselves. And it's all like one game after the other in like this, like a shooting range.
Yeah, it was pretty comical.
That was great.
Pay attention to that guy who was running the training facility, because he shows up again in the Bond franchise as a Russian general in, I think, some of the Roger Moore movies.
Oh, nice.
Good for him. Get those James Bond paychecks. I'm sorry. I'm going back through like wiki and stuff because when I watch movies like this all together, they're all the same movie now.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that about almost 90% of these James Bond movies, which if we're ready to talk about Thunderball, I enjoyed it, but it's my least favorite of these 3 films directed by Terrence Young because it's just a typical Bond movie.
It is.
Is it all the underwater scenes you don't care for?
No, my favorite. That's what. It's a toss-up between From Russia and Thunderball because I love the underwater stuff, especially if I'm watching a cleaned up like Blu-ray version of this movie.
Yeah, the copy
that's
we did
very
watch this
nice.
time around was much
that's
nicer.
Just so crisp, and I'm a fan of Jacques Cousteau and the stuff he did for National Geographic. I love the old footage and the old documentary stuff. I'm a fan of that. So that's what this reminded me a lot of, because if you'll notice in those fight scenes, they would cut to like a few seconds of the wildlife that was swimming around.
Or
and
it's
almost
throw an
like
octopus on a bad guy's face the last minute before
so
they took a...
it was like in what,
65
or 65. They were like, hey, let's show off what we can do underwater. Let's show the audience, like, let's show off some color here. Let's show off some underwater stuff. Let's get deep with this, pun intended. Let's do this.
Do you think that's why one of the main female characters wears like a very stark, graphic black and white motif the whole time?
Could be.
Yeah.
But this is the height of Bondomania. I don't think James Bond was ever as big as it was with the release of this film. I think with inflation, this is still the highest grossing Bond film of all time.
Oh, wow.
So Goldfinger was a huge success. So they're like, all right, let's up the ante. And the underwater stuff is amazing. It's beautiful. I mean, that one fight near the end of the movie, it's probably a little too long of a fight sequence underwater, but it's cool.
The jetpack longer than I would think an underwater fight would actually last.
Again, I think they drug it out and they intercut it with fish and stuff, with wildlife, is because they were showing off.
Oh yeah, it's a total flex move. It's a total flex move.
Because if I grew up in that era, in 1965, Chris, who had never seen Star Wars or, The Rock, sat down to watch this, it would have blown my mind. I would have been like, holy shit, because a lot of that stuff wasn't just mainstream. It was stuff you would read about in National Geographic or see on Mutual of Omaha's, nature specials and stuff like that. So
I thought it was called Wild Kingdom.
Is it Wild Kingdom? Wild Kingdom?
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Yeah, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Thank you. But yeah, so I can see where that would gain a lot of interest and where it would earn a lot of money. And that's what piques my interest in it, is just you're right, though. It is just another generic James Bond.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, okay, bad guy, they hijack a bunch of weapons, threaten the world's government at ransom. Largo is a cool looking bad guy, but there's not much to him as a character. Right. Yeah, the eye patch is cool. He's got sharks in his swimming pool, but no freaking laser beams on their heads. So.
Yes.
Also, that pool is too small for those sharks. That's bad shark ownership.
Right.
Yep. But I think the Bond villainess, the female bad guy, overshadows Largo. I think she's a far more interesting character. She might be.
Oh, she is.
She might be the best female Bond villain besides, when we get to A World's Not Enough and of course, Famke Janssen in GoldenEye. She's really good.
Ooh, GoldenEye. That was my first James Bond in a movie theater, and in the first of many. So,
but yeah, compared to the other two films, he's not as especially from Russia with Love, he's not as interesting as a bad guy as Robert Shaw as Red Grant, and yeah, it's fun. It's entertaining. The underwater stuff is really cool. The opening scene with the jetpacks kind of fun.
No. Hold on. We gotta talk about that jetpack scene because
hey, that was breaking. Okay,
I'm sure it was, but he got barely a 10-second head start before those dudes were already out the door of that building and shooting at his car. Like that seems like such an anticlimactic gadget. If all you get out of it is quick, put it in the trunk. They can already see me again. I gotta get out of here.
Hey, in 1965, people were like, "Oh my god,
he's flying!"
I'm
Holy shit!
by my own times, but he was it looked really cool, and he landed, and I thought it's smooth sailing from here, James. But no, those three dudes were already on foot, 100 feet away from his car, by the time he got in it to drive.
What's not cool is James Bond basically sexually harasses and assaults a spa employee, though.
Wait. Say that again?
He harasses and assaults that woman in the spa because, that guy comes in and messes with him and the machine tries to kill him.
That humping machine? I don't know what that was about.
Shake him to death. At first, he's like, "Oh, I'm familiar with this motion of my body, but this is too much. It almost killed me."
We normally hook 16-year-olds up to this machine.
No.
But yeah, then he's like, "Don't tell." She's like, "Don't tell," and he's like, "There's some form of payment."
Yeah. Maybe you can buy my silence and workman's comp if you.
In Scotland, this is how we're doing.
That is pretty gross of him.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
Not cool, James Bond.
Shame on you, Sean. Hold on. I got more notes for this. Okay. Aside from the beautiful underwater shots, is this movie just too beachy for you, Cody? Because there are summery, beachy versions of other movies that I'm like, yeah, that's not really my jam. But that's just because I'm not a hot weather person.
Yeah, this seems like one I'd watch. I remember as a kid, because we had a swimming pool, and I remember as a kid watching this and be like, "Oh, this is cool," and I watched it during the summer. It seemed like a summer movie to me.
It's not a January movie, that's for certain.
It was
From Russia with Love could be.
This is one I'd watch and go get out in the swimming pool, pretend I was James Bond. This was,
No, I like this movie. The aesthetic is the best part of it. It's just that I prefer my James Bond movies a little more low key, and he's using his skills and intelligence as a spy more so than his gadgets.
Right.
Which, yeah, they introduced Q in From Russia with Love with the whole briefcase. They don't even call him Q. That's the only gadget he has is that briefcase.
I do love how absurd his gadgets get throughout the series. That's one of my favorite parts. And then I
get to Men in Black levels of.
Well, don't get me wrong. I like that they toned the gadgets down a lot. In the Daniel Craig, they went back to just a spy.
Has some cool stuff going on.
Yeah, he did, but
I
not.
think they just both have a crush on Daniel Craig. And
they got wild. Okay, they got pretty crazy. They were cool, but
they weren't stealing the show.
A laser watch was, that was the pinnacle, I think, or the remote control car with your the BMW with your touchscreen phone at the time.
It's just not my personal preference. I know some people enjoy this one a lot, but there are people that don't like this one at all, and it is the underwater stuff people complain about, saying it's too long and it's
some
just
people don't appreciate underwater photography.
Well, that's again, it's kind of like I really enjoy The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, but it's because it deals with underwater stuff, and I love The Abyss. I love The Hunt for Red October. I guess I have a thing for underwater movies.
Did you get any David Attenborough? Any of that? Any of the
Yeah, I love aquatic documentaries and stuff like that. So, and matter of fact, if you have not seen the
Are you talking about the Disney Plus thing with Jacques Cousteau?
well, I haven't seen that yet. That's on my list, and I can't wait to see it. But no, this was with James Cameron going to the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
Aliens of the Deep or Ghost of the Abyss?
I think it's Ghost. No, this is the one where he personally goes to the
his own
deepest
little Nat Geo exploration.
He builds he helps funds and builds a ship.
I watched Aliens of the Deep, but I haven't seen Ghost of the Abyss.
Is the thing that we rewatch about James Cameron doing that, is that the one where his wife reveals that he said that terrible, awful thing about being a father? Is that the one that I heard him say that on?
That's not it.
I'll still shame James Cameron.
No, this is the one where he gets in
he
gets into like a personal sub, and he goes to the bottom of the the deepest point of the ocean
anybody has
been marked so far.
It might be Ghost of the Abyss, because Aliens of the Deep, I think, focuses more on like the underwater life.
Well, I thought Ghost of the Abyss
this was definitely mostly about James Cameron.
I thought Ghost of the Abyss was about the Titanic, but I could be. I guess
it is a little bit about the Titanic, because I got Bill Paxton in there narrating it.
No, this isn't it. Then this is on YouTube, and just type in James Cameron Marianas Trench. It's free. But I do recommend it because it's really cool. I like the science part of it, and I like the underwater part. And yes, he does sound full of himself. He narrates it.
He's James Cameron.
But I also think that it is cool that he's using his resources as a director. He may not be the greatest human, but he's using his influence.
We can appreciate
his resources
to the available science about.
Yeah, and he is putting funding into exploration and stuff like that. I don't know. It's good and bad, kind of like with Elon Musk. There are some good things that he's doing, but for the most part,
I would argue this is better. He's
a POS, yeah. But we'll get into that. We might get into that later.
Yeah, Elon Musk, could you just pay for people's medication and everyone's hospital bills instead of going to space?
Exactly.
Elon Musk is full on don't look up mode now. He does not.
Don't get me wrong.
Pretend to care about people on Earth.
There is a part of me that appreciates this, the funding that goes into the science aspect because of the ease and the availability of space travel that's being presented. But there is the part of me that's F you, because not only is he putting a price tag on it, there's some drawstrings to it, and he's always going to be he's going to get rich off of it. It's always going to be for him. So what he could be doing for mankind, he's not
choosing to do for himself. Whereas James Cameron is way hyper focused on how cool the ocean is. And that benefits more people than just James
He's
Cameron.
Nowhere near as rich as Elon Musk, but what little influence he does have, he has put it into this, and it is an interesting documentary, and I recommend it if you're interested. So,
do you know what tangent you want to go on?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm not.
No. Let's get on to.
We are talking about Thunderball now.
Yes, Thunderball.
And if I do like this. I guess I don't have the ability to be super critical of anything that's not the mechanics of how the movie is made or presented. There's a moment where James Bond is sneaking out of some cellar, some half underwater cellar space. All the henchmen are in the little SeaWorld enclosure on the island. They're all still within little walls. And he sneaks out and he slams open this metal door. This metal door makes zero sound. It doesn't even like creak or whine on the hinges, it slams all the way open onto another metal door and is completely silent. And still, all the bad guys in their black sweaters and black pants run like a herd of hungry chickens over to the exact area that he is. Those are the parts that I can be like, that's silly. But overall, this was very enjoyable, and I did like all the action on water because I can appreciate how difficult that probably was to shoot. Even more so if you're an actor or a stunty in 1964 or 5. Anyways.
Yeah.
All those guys getting shot with
the harpoon gun.
Yeah.
Well, he got the point.
Yes. Yeah, I also noticed. Well, okay, we do have to go back and watch Goldfinger, which was in between.
Yeah, it's
From Russia with Love and in this movie, but I did notice like the puns starting to ramp up, like more.
This isn't quite silly Bond territory, but we are getting to the point where the Bond films are getting more extravagant and more.
Like
ridiculous.
Roger Moore was straight up just
silly.
But I love Roger. I freaking love the Roger Moore run of James Bond films. Like, I love every single one of them because they are so damn cheesy. And
I still feel like a good James Bond pun. It rides that line of silly and serious.
I think
it has to be grown worthy, but you have to be able to say it in a serious situation.
I think Roger Moore delivered and had some of the best puns throughout the Bond films, in my opinion. But we'll get into those.
It's possible. I haven't seen them in a few years.
Yeah, we'll get into those. That's because it was like his run was during the 70s, and it just
this movie
and 80s.
This
70s
movie
and 80s.
felt like Sean Connery was like, "Do you know what my best feature is?" Aside from these brows,
yeah,
my legs, and my legs don't get enough screen time in any of the other Bond iterations. I've only packed 2 Speedos for the whole shoot, so you're just gonna have to work around it.
Yeah, world, meet my thighs.
Everybody else is wearing like a full red good guy wetsuit, but James Bond is wearing like
yeah, like a diaper
jumper,
jumper.
Like those infant jumpers that snap at the crotch, so you can make diaper changes easier.
Yeah,
he gets that one, and he gets to wear it over his underwear.
I bet you it made a lot of ladies in 1965
very happy and good for them.
Quiver in their theater seats with their husbands, but they couldn't let their husbands know because, you know.
Well, I'm sure the husbands were oogling one of the ladies in this movie.
Or James Bond.
Yeah,
or James Bond.
Secretly.
Not so secretly. That's the great thing about action movies is you get to ogle big hairy guys and it's not weird.
I will say that I don't think Domino, while is a very good character, I feel like there's not much to her, and I feel like poor thing, you're just basically a sex slave, and now you're just gonna go to another man who's not gonna treat you well.
Right.
Isn't there's a better Domino out there? She's a Deadpool character.
Yeah, that Domino is great.
Yeah. I hate that I do love a good like graphic design and theme, like a domino and the black and the white. It's beautiful. But it is very like surface level interesting, her character, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Ursula Anders, there's not much to her in Dr. No, but I feel like they were just like, well, we got to have a woman in this story somewhere.
Yeah, eye candy.
She seems to have a little bit more agency, though, than Domino. Honey Rider is just a great name, though.
Oh, man, the names get so much more.
So good.
They get so great during the whole run of this. Like, as we go on.
Mm-hmm. But
the one that tops the cake, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. Guys, I'm sorry.
Who are you apologizing to? We're all adults.
If it offends you, I'm sorry. Please don't flag me, Facebook. But Pussy Galore is by far the greatest.
And nobody ever came up with a better stage name than that.
I don't understand how or why they went with that. I do.
There's a male character in Dr. No named Puss something. So it's not like...
I do as a male understand. But how they got away with it at the time.
Oh, do you mean because it was 1965?
Like...
How they got away with it?
It's one of those things that baffles me. And maybe we'll get into that when that movie comes around.
No, that's not 1965. Pussy Galore is...
I mean, not 65.
That's
but
64.
64.
But that one that probably takes the cake, but one that makes me giggle is Dr. Holly Goodhead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Or there was Goodnight.
Mm-hmm.
Was one, but not as good as Goodhead.
Moneypenny is still a very...
Christmas. Yeah, Dr. Christmas.
Name.
That was lazy.
Yeah, that was a lazy one. But yeah, Moneypenny's great. I love Moneypenny, especially Lois Maxwell's Moneypenny. I don't think anybody lives up to her title till Naomi Harris in the recent ones.
Yeah, and she was like Q. She stayed on they used that actress.
She stayed on all the way to the end of Roger Moore.
Yeah, and they were both...
But isn't that kind of how
But you know what? Good for them, because they were aging at that point. Both Roger Moore and Moneypenny, and they
inexplicably
used them both till the end, even though they were aged. Because I mean, you get to the end of Roger Moore, and he's aged up there.
Yeah, he is 58 years old, and one of the reasons he stops is because Tanya Roberts' mother is younger than Roger Moore.
Oh man,
the shame.
Well, you'll know what we're talking about.
That's a Hollywood problem, though, because male actors are allowed to get old. They're allowed to visibly age. It's all the women that have to be like a revolving door of new faces.
But I mean, again, we'll get to Roger Moore. But yeah, wow.
I put the soapbox away.
But anyway, these three movies, these are classics. They're great.
They are pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, I love them. I'm glad we got to go back and watch them, and we're doing these because that just, my dad, I have to thank my dad because I would be watching, they would come on TNT, right? Or TBS back in the day.
Always around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and my dad would be like, "Oh, Chris, come here. Hey, look, this is James Bond."
Because the 60s were really cool.
And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. I don't know. I don't get a lot of I don't get a lot of the sexual lingo and stuff that's going on. It's going over my head. And I just remember my older sisters and even my mom would walk through and be like, "David, why are you letting him watch this?" And he'd be like, "Becky, guys, come on. It's James Bond. It's fine. It's on TV." And then later on in my preteens, like I would rent these, and then I eventually bought them on VHS. And I was actually lucky enough to get these free, believe it or not. But thank God for Facebook Marketplace, because you just type in VHS. I found 2 large collections for free within driving distance.
We think local marketplace.
Local marketplace, but I was able to get every James Bond up until Daniel Craig on VHS.
I don't think they made his movies on VHS.
So,
they did not, because they don't exist anymore.
So,
I think Daniel Craig would be excited to get his movies on VHS.
That's exciting to me because I started collecting here recently. Well, I say collecting. Thank God for free stuff. I never turned down free stuff. But anyway, it's worked out, and yeah, they're fun. I highly recommend them. They hold a special place because my dad introduced them to me, and I grew up watching them, and yeah, I recommend them.
Oddly, my mom is the person who introduced me to James Bond, and Sean Connery was not the first Bond I watched. I had to go back and discover the Sean Connerys because it seemed like the Roger Moore ones were always the ones running on cable. when I was
I wonder
like
why that is.
in middle school.
Roger Moore. But hey, you know what?
Is an unsung hero, yes.
No, listen,
I
Roger
know.
Moore,
I'm not hating on
Live
Roger
and Let
Moore.
Die. That theme song is
Killer.
killer.
sure.
Yeah,
I
that's one of
mean,
my all-time favorites.
yeah, I mean,
But yeah,
and
these are
nobody does it better. That I mean,
Yeah.
nobody does it better because they use that as a tribute for Q, the actor who played Q when he died. I remember it was on it was at the beginning of one of the VHS that I had, and it was a tribute to him because he had passed away. And anyway, they had it on there, and it was Nobody Does It Better, and it was pretty cool. You could probably find it on YouTube.
Yeah, he died around the time World Is Not Enough was released. So it may have been that one. But yeah, if you've never seen any of the Connery era Bond films, you should definitely check these out just to see where the series began and just see what all the fuss is about with Sean Connery. But of these three, I'd say you definitely need to watch From Russia with Love. That is just quintessentially just a great spy movie, not just a great James Bond movie, but that's just a great movie in general.
Right.
And these other two are just very good James Bond movies,
Right.
I would say, in my opinion.
No, we're here. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was like,
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm here. But yeah, you should. If you've never seen a James Bond, please go back and watch these. Like, start from the beginning, or even like mix them up, like where like Cody's suggesting. Like, it's fun even that way. Like, you'll still get the whole, because nothing's really, I don't know. You could kind of say there's a story with the Spectre going on with the Sean
yeah,
Connery.
because they do in From Russia with Love lists like, oh, because he says the name Spectre in Doctor No, but then so that was interesting that because Goldfinger was directed by Guy Hamilton, all three of these movies have a Spectre storyline in them. But in From Russia with Love, they like, oh, he killed Doctor No, we got to get him. And then like in Thunderball, like he notices the signal of the ring she's wearing and like the tattoo the other guy's got on, like, and he's making references. And I think in From Russia with Love, they actually it's From Russia with Love, they actually reference the name of what the organization was in Ian Fleming's novels, which is SMERSH. So Spectre is a better name. Also, I forgot to mention, it is the James Bond film franchise's 60th anniversary. Dr. No came out 60 years ago.
Wow, yes. Man, that's, you know what? Part of me didn't know that until a couple of days ago. And it's funny because of the timing when we decided to do this. So yeah, I guess it's working out.
Also,
So,
now
yeah,
the Bond
happy
film
60th.
franchise has outlived its creator, Ian Fleming, who died at the age of 59.
Wow. That's something.
I mean, the book franchise is older. It's been around since the early 50s. But yeah, the film franchise is now 60 years old.
That's something else, man. There was something I was thinking about earlier. Well, I'll probably remember it later. Anyway, thanks, red and white wine. But okay, sorry, I'm plugging my phone in, guys. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So Yeah, I think that covered all 3 movies.
Yeah,
And I think as all like I do at the end of every show with whatever we're reviewing, and I know you might get tired of hearing me do this, but I'm kind of begging you, go rent these. Go check them out. Find them online. If you've not seen a James Bond movie, or even if you've seen the newer ones and you haven't gone back and seen the original, go back and watch the original. They are so well done. Yes, there's some things that have not aged well, just like any movie that you're going to go back and watch and experience. But as a film buff, go back and watch these. They're worth it. They totally are. It's worth watching every one of these movies. To me, it is. And that's because I grew up watching them, and I love every single one of them in some way or or another. But they're great. They're just great films. They're classics. They'll show you some early Sean. If you're not into dancing leprechauns in Disney movies, you'll get some early Sean out of this. So yeah, go check it out.
yeah. Especially if you've liked the Daniel Craig movies, I would say for sure go back and watch the Sean Connery ones and the Timothy Dalton ones. I think you'll like those. If you like spy movies, you should watch this. And yeah, and I think these 3 movies, if you want to see Sean Connery with actual hair, because I don't think it's quite a wig yet till maybe You Only Live Twice. It's definitely a wig and Diamonds Are Forever.
Wow. You know what, Cody? I'm glad you mentioned that because I would have never have known that. Really. And I thought I knew a lot about James Bond. Again, I was a huge James Bond nerd when these movies were coming out. Like I said, with Goldeneye, me and my one of my best friends, Josh Cook, one of my oldest friends, his mom, he and I were big James Bond fans, and we would go watch them every time they come out because his mom took us to see Goldeneye, and then other films after the other ones with
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan, thank you. After that, so and I was playing the video games on 64. Goldeneye, shout out, whoop whoop. So yeah, I don't know, just check them out. That's my plea. Like I do at the end of every show, go check it out. As a cinephile or a movie buff, whatever you want to call me, you should do it. That's my recommendation.
They're worth a watch, especially if you like the Daniel Craig films and you've never seen any other James Bond movie.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely see where it started and how it's changed in the 60 years they've been making these things.
Yeah, that's true. If you rewatch at least the first, the Sean Connery ones, it really gives you a new appreciation for the Daniel Craig movies.
Yeah,
I feel like there are a lot of parallels.
It does.
Or exact similarities.
Yeah,
they're really good. I'm sorry, I had to go, Mom.
That's okay.
Well, especially with the Spectre storylines, because they didn't have the rights to use Spectre in the franchise for a long time, so
right.
See where it all came from. So when that's revealed in Spectre, people are like, what does that mean? So old James Bond fans are like, oh yeah, Blofeld. Yeah.
That's what, man.
And if you're an MCU fan, it's just Hydra.
Yeah.
Don't get upset.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's another reason why I loved the Daniel Craig's is because of the way they presented. It was like I was like, oh my god, they are like everything connected. Like Quantum of Solace was the weakest of the Daniel Craig's for me.
I would argue Spectre, but we'll get to that.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But
don't you feel bad for squid and octopus that they are like villainized this
what about
way?
us? Yeah.
What did we do? We just
and
live in the
Hydra.
ocean. Why are they using us as their symbol?
Right. Well, Cody, is there anything new that you've seen here lately, or anything? We have not watched the Book of Boba Fett yet.
Oh, I haven't seen the episode yet either, the newest one.
Um,
I gotta say, I did enjoy. Somebody wrote on Twitter about the Book of Boba Fett. If you guys don't know, the actor who plays Boba Fett and Jango Fett also is the voice of Moana's dad. And the lady playing his sidekick or whatever she is, partner or whatever, is the voice of Mulan. And someone says, "Oh, this is just a show with a Disney princess and another Disney princess's dad just blowing stuff up."
Nice. I
love their voices. I would listen to either of them read a phone book.
Yeah,
it really
I've
doesn't
enjoyed them.
Make me any difference.
I have to say I enjoyed The Mandalorian a little bit more. I think.
Oh yeah,
the news story.
This is pure pulp, and I think
Yeah.
Star Wars fans, especially OG Star Wars fans, who just have a huge, what's a nice word for this? They just have a huge enthusiasm for Boba Fett as a character, are going to love this show.
Yeah.
And did you know that actor?
I've seen a lot of hate, dude. In the
Really?
Star Wars groups, I have seen so much hate. Like,
I would think this is what the Star Wars fans want.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was great from him coming out of the Starlight Pit, you know.
Yeah, spoilers for Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, spoilers.
But I mean, if you've seen if you've seen Star Wars, you kind of know how he has to come. So I guess it's not really a spoiler.
Right. Well, if you read the book, if you were into the lore back in the 90s,
here it comes.
Like I was. Yeah.
Have you read the extended novels?
The director's cut of all the Star Wars books.
Yes. Thank you, Cody. I deserve to be called out on it because I said it.
It's so
Look.
No, it's fine. I just think it's funny when like people
go ahead and say it, Cody. A boomer, Cody.
Measure their not a boomer because you're a millennial.
A millennial. A hipster.
Or a hipster, but anytime a fan's like, well, I'm a bigger fan than you because I read the whole extra credit homework.
I never said I was a bigger fan than anyone.
No, you didn't say that directly. I was just giving you a hard time about it. But that's how a lot of that's just how a lot of people feel when the fans that read that stuff are like, well, I'm a bigger fan.
If anything, I'm calling myself out as being a bigger nerd than what people were. Because look, we lived out in the country, like throughout the 90s. Okay, we had dial-up internet. I was reading a lot, so yeah,
I had to read because what else were you gonna do while the webpage loaded?
I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
So and I was a Star Wars nerd, and we went to the library, so I checked out a lot of books. So yes, I read where he crawls out of the Starlight Pit. So when this happened, I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. I absolutely loved it. Now, I did catch go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the actor who plays Boba Fett is Boba Fett's dad, Moana's dad, and Aquaman's dad.
What was the Stormtrooper? Yes.
Good for him.
And has a dad bod, so good for him.
No, he has a dad approach. He's wearing the coveralls, and he's like, I'm just going to teach you all everything I know while I'm here.
Okay. How about this, people? If there's anyone listening, and I might put this in the comments, but if anyone listens to this, I have a question for you, and if you can answer it and come up with the best answer that we like and see and deem plausible, I will send you a random VHS of my pick. Okay?
That's quite the draw, Dad.
Yeah. Okay? Now listen. He goes into the Starlight Pit, right? He falls in Return of the Jedi. When he has the flashbacks, why were there stormtroopers down there? Because there were no stormtroopers there in Return of the Jedi. It was all Jabba's henchmen and his party.
But stormtroopers have been to Tatooine. They've been probably eaten by the Sarlacc, because doesn't it take like 1,000 years for you to digest in one of those things?
Wouldn't he have ran in or encountered one of Jabba's henchmen before he encountered a stormtrooper? It's just what I'm saying. Because there were no stormtroopers when Jabba was taken out and his sail barge was destroyed. So, if anyone's listening and anybody can come up with a good answer, and not you, okay, and not you, Cody. This is for.
We're not trying to play the rig system at all.
We'll get into this when someone submits an answer, okay? And when we pick the winner, I will make a post. When we pick a winner, that winner will win a random VHS of my choosing. It'll be cool. Don't worry.
You should say curated. It sounds better.
Curated and a cool bonus from myself, and I will send it to you. I will mail it. Like the old timers used to do back in the day, and you will eventually, I hopefully, get it. And yeah, so answer me that, peeps. Why was the stormtrooper there?
Please show your work.
Yeah, that's all I have. That was my main issue with that episode. I loved it. I loved the lizard up the nose. I loved the.
I don't think the lizard loved it.
The whole thing with the sand people. It was pretty cool. But when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute.
That whole thing is Big Dad energy. He's wearing the cutoff Dickies coveralls with like.
Yeah. My
like, I'll just rub sand into it. I'll be fine. Whoops. But let me teach you all how to fight and defend yourselves. And
my Papa wore coveralls like that.
Everybody's Papa wore coveralls like that. That's why
he had a color. He had a color and a set for every day of the week, and he would wear them, and they were awesome.
And when I'm a real grown up, I'll have a coverall.
You know what? If I win the lottery, I'll wear them. I'll wear them at 40. I don't care. Those things are comfortable, and if I have one with a color for every day of the week, people can laugh all they want. But you know what?
You'll be living the high life.
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? These are comfortable. They got pockets everywhere, people. Anyway, Cody.
Wait.
Do you have anything else? Lindsay,
we haven't said anything about what we're going to do.
Yes. What is next week?
Are we doing more James Bond, or do you guys want to do something else?
Do you want to do something else?
Are we going to do our double feature that breaks up the James Bond with knockoff James Bond?
We could totally do something else. I was thinking of maybe starting to, if I can find someone, this is just an idea, but doing kind of like a Friday night horror movie type thing.
Like we're Joe Bob Briggs?
Like Joe Bob Briggs. That was a big deal. It wasn't just a Halloween thing growing up. On Fridays and Saturdays, like a horror movie was a big part of the weekend growing up. So why not? Why not continue it?
Watch more scary movies.
Heck yeah, man. So, but even crazier stuff like Pumpkinhead or I don't know. We'll see. We don't know what's out there. Do any of you guys have any suggestions? Do you have some wacky, crazy, like weird stuff?
So as far as next week, what do you guys want to do? I'm okay if we do more Bond. I know where we go next, but if you want to break it up, we can do something else.
This is cause for serious reflection.
Yeah, we could do a Stallone double feature. We could do the.
Goodness gracious.
We could do Demolition Man and Judge Dredd. Just an idea.
Or we recently watched Clueless. We could talk about how weird that movie is.
That movie did not.
Movie is great.
Whoa!
It is a great movie, but I haven't seen it since before I married Christopher.
Man,
wow!
I hadn't seen it since VHS either, and I watched that, and I'm like,
I remember it being such a
I was
repeat
like,
play
Paul
in
Rudd,
my house.
she is 15, and you were
16.
You were 20,
and she's your stepsister.
Yeah, this goes back to the problems I had with Crimson Peak.
No, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I will say this, and I'm sorry that I did not make Saturday. I had to go help throw some packages, and then I ended up going and helping another driver and getting home later than I expected. And it sucked because I had some things I wanted to say about this movie. I will say that it was like reading. I enjoyed it. It was a beautiful film, but it was like reading a paperback romance novel, like a really bad paperback romance novel.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be a gothic romance akin to stuff like Jane Eyre and Rebecca and Wuthering Heights. You know, even Dracula, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, or an Edgar Allan Poe story. Like, it's supposed to be. It's not really a horror film. It's just it's a gothic romance that happens to have ghosts.
Yeah,
in it.
I know, and I tried. I really did, but it was. And then the part. I don't know, man.
Got a little bit of Flowers in the Attic going on in there too.
I saw it coming, but I didn't know that it was going to go there. You know what I mean? Like, and then I was like, nope, man, that did it for me. But hey, some people like it. Cool beans. You know, I think it was just a lot of eye candy for old Hiddleston there. So. But anyway, all right, let's see. Let's think about next week, okay? Let's think about it.
Okay.
I tell you what, let's split up the bonds.
Okay, we're gonna do Bond every other week or so.
Yeah, we'll do Bond every other. It'll stretch it out. We'll do Bond every other week, and yeah.
Okay, well, let me know what you want to do for next week then.
That way, we just don't get burned. I don't think I'll get burned out on Bond, but I want you to get burned out on Bond.
I won't get burned out on Bond, trust me. And I know we're going to break up the first 2 weeks in February anyways.
Well, okay, then let's do more Bond.
Okay, well, if we're going to do more Bond, we're going to move into the Guy Hamilton Bond films. That's going to be 2 Connerys and 2 Moores. So we're going to do Goldfinger.
Hang on. Okay, Goldfinger.
Yeah, Goldfinger. Diamonds Are Forever.
Okay.
Live and Let Die.
Ooh. All right.
And The Man with the Golden Gun.
Nice.
So, 1 really good Bond movie and 3 Bond movies that are kind of all over the place, and fans have various opinions on how they feel of each of those individual films.
You know what? I like every one of these because I like shit movies. Nice. I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll give me some watching stuff this weekend and the next couple of days. So, Awesome. Well, guys, Cody, if anybody popped on, that's wonderful. If not, maybe somebody will watch. Anyway, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Lindsay's coming in. She's going to join us for the
Just in time to say goodbye.
just for the sign off. Yeah. Guys, thanks for listening. I had fun watching these. Cody, thanks for coming on as always and talking about these. Real quick, do we have anything for this weekend planned?
We do. I don't think you're gonna be able to make it unless you're not working Friday morning.
I will not be working Friday morning. So
okay. Well, if you want to get up bright and early at 8 a.m. to finish 2 series we were working on, Robbie's going to come on because he's
Let's
6
do it.
hours. He's 6 hours ahead of us, and we're going to be talking about Miyazaki's The Wind Rises and Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs.
Good, because I have Isle of Dogs ready. We have not watched that yet, and I don't know if we're gonna get to the other one, but we will try.
What is the other? Say the other one again.
Miyazaki's
The Wind Rises.
The Wind Rises. Okay, all right. Well, I know I'll be here Friday morning, so unless all of a sudden something changes, but I'll be here Friday morning. So yeah, that sounds good to me. We'll watch those tomorrow night.
Write it down. I'm gonna send it to you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we'll at least be able to get Isle of Dogs in.
Okay.
So we can at
That's
least
the
discuss
main
that
one. We just never
Yeah.
did the Wind Rises episode when we did Miyazaki, and Robbie was like, I'll talk that one. I was like, okay. And then Miyazaki had his birthday last week, and I was like, you want to do this? And I was like, why don't we just throw Isle of Dogs in there too? Because we need to do Isle of Dogs.
Right.
So
Yeah, that sounds good because we haven't seen Isle of Dogs, and we can watch that tomorrow night and discuss that. That'll be good. And we'll wake up and get our coffee going. That'll be good.
That'd be nice.
Get the kids set up for something before school, and we can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I got something to tell you guys, but we'll go ahead and broadcast.
All right, let's do it.
So
all right, guys.
thanks for watching. Watch these 3 films if you like James Bond or you like spy movies or you want to see what Sean Connery looked like with hair. And keep watching because then eventually you'll be like, oh wait, that's a wig. That's not Sean Connery's hair anymore.
Right. I'll be watching for that. Yeah.
All right. Good
All right,
night,
guys.
folks, and thanks for watching. And just keep watching what we post on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. And I'll be posting something about potentially if someone wants to guest for one of our Coen Brothers movies. If not, we're gonna do a double feature with that one.
Nice.
So, good night.
Ready for those. All right. Good night.